How you doing, Coach? There's so much uncertainty about your position. Can you tell us anything you've gleaned from this, and how impressed have you been with Taki and Wilson, considering presumably a lot will be asked of them?
Hi, Marla. It's great to be here, first of all. Great to be at the Browns. Great history, and my family and I, we just moved up here. We're excited to be here. So that's part one. What have I learned? Our linebacker group attacked the offseason, and that was great to see. They competed, and they worked in many different ways. I think this offseason we were able to really focus on how guys learn, because we were able to do different recorded meetings like we're doing right now on Zoom, where we could be live and really get to know each other, and we could give them a lot of feedback. Specifically to Mack and Sione, they're very competitive, and they really attack the playbook. They want to be good, and Mack saw the field enough to where he knows what he can do and what he needs to work on, and same with Sione. Sione had that early season injuries, but Sione, for example, his field work that he's doing right now, and it's really interesting because they're doing so much field work on their own. But it's awesome. He would put his helmet on, and it just got better and better at moving and running, and very competitive young men. So we're excited to see what they do when we get to practice.
What's so interesting about what he's doing?
Sione, just how he's moving, how powerful he is. He's really competing in the workouts to cover the most ground, to break on throws, to control his body in space. Would be a few of the things he's doing well. Mack, all of them. I don't want to isolate too many people, but they've all – what was cool about this virtual offseason program is they all improved because we could really focus on their drills and their individual body position, because everybody moves differently. And different's not bad. It's just different, which is one of our sayings. Like this offseason, different's not bad. It's just different. So we're going to deal with it, and we're going to get better. And they all improved with the feedback on the drills, just improving in your, drills that linebackers have to do, like shuffling. You have to be able to move through things and diagnose run pass. They all improved that way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, thank you, Marla. We're going to go to Mary Kay Cabot next. Mary Kay.
Hey, Coach. Is it starting to come into focus a little bit as far as who might start at which positions, or is that a really hard thing to determine on Zoom? And when you talk about those guys doing field work, are you actually watching that? Do you watch them do their field work, via Zoom and those sorts of things?
Well, they have the ability to send us videos, and we can give them feedback. So that's how we did that. And obviously they're working on their own. So they did a great job there. The depth chart and things, as you've heard from both Coach Stefanski and Coach Woods, will be determined when we get into training camp where we can actually practice. So the things that we can control in this offseason is how well we know the scheme. And a lot of our linebacker positioning is interchangeable. They're all going to have to do certain things, and which we're going to rush them. We're going to drop them. They're all going to have to be in situations and do similar movements. So we've been training those movements, so when we do get on a practice field, their bodies are trained and they know the words, so that we can really just focus on playing. So a lot of that is to be determined. And in our room, it was a great competition. From trying to get answers right to trying to do things better than the other guys, and that's what it's about. Everything's a competition.
Do you feel like you have the bodies that you need to accomplish the linebacker position?
We do, and we have a different, with B.J. Goodson in the room, who's played at a pretty high level in the NFL and started football games for a couple different teams. We got a good mix of body types as well, and they all can run and shed and light contact. So those are some of the things that we talk about becoming our identity when we get to play.
Thanks, Coach.
Welcome.
Okay, thanks, Mary Kay. We're going to go to Scott Petrick. Scott.
Hey, Coach. When we talked to Andrew Berry and then Coach Stefanski during the draft, they were talking about the youth movement at your position. So I'm curious, taking over you're going to a new team and taking that over. Is that scary at all that there's not a whole lot of proven guys in your room?
Oh, fortunately, this is year 17 for my family and I in the NFL, and we've seen a lot of different situations. And what's cool about that is every player is unique and every player is different. And our job as a coach is to help them get better. So number one, we're excited about that opportunity to get better. With this group, you can see that one of the words used is upside or ability. So the only way to get better at playing football is actually getting reps and playing football, but you can get your bodies ready, and that's what we're working on. So we're excited about this mix because we do have a mix of body types and athletes, and we're going to see how this works, how guys are able to get in and who works best together and who takes advantage of their reps when we do get to practice. So we're excited about it, and we do think we have the pieces to run Coach Woods' scheme.
So you don't think you need to add another veteran to feel more comfortable going into camp?
Good players are good players, and so I know Andrew and Kevin are scouring all the time, and that's their job. So what we do as coaches, especially position coaches in the NFL, is we're going to give our best to each player in our room. So I stay as solidly focused as I can on that to help our players, myself and Coach Bloom, because we coach these guys together. We focus on that. We're going to give the guys that are in our room our very best because we can't control those other things.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Scott. We're going to go to Dan Lobby.
Hey, Coach. Jacob Phillips is one of those guys in that room. I'm curious what you guys liked about him at LSU, and also, is this offseason particularly tough for a rookie? Because for you guys, you don't have any film on him, and for him, he doesn't really know what it's like in that NFL building. Is it particularly tough for guys like that?
Well, we feel real fortunate about it. Jacob is a very smart, productive young man with high energy. What we really like about him, you got two-phase questions, so I'll answer the first one. He is very productive. He's a good box player who just got more and more productive as he went through the year on a championship team. He's a winner, and he has good length and top speed and power in his body, which has improved throughout the offseason, which has been great to see. He's very smart, and he wants to know all the positions. We actually just got done with a rookie Zoom meeting, kind of like this, where we were asking some questions and answers, and he does a heck of a job of knowing what's about to happen to him and really taking notes. So been impressed there. Now, is it harder? Yeah, it's different because you're not on the field with everybody. But what Zoom does allow you to do is spend some time in different little groups so everybody can get to know everybody, at least have a feel for who they are as people. And Jacob's done a good job with it.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Our next question is going to be from Nate Ulrich.
Hey, Coach. I was wondering if you've been able to, through the virtual setting, kind of sort out who would be the quarterback of the defense, so to speak, or who those candidates would be. I mean, I've heard a lot about in these virtual programs, quarterbacks calling the plays and trying to kind of simulate the huddle, on Zoom or whatever the platform is. Where are you at with your linebackers doing that? Who's kind of doing that for you, and how's it going?
Well, I'll start with this. I think myself and Coach Bloom and all the coaches have become better coaches this year because we got to be really creative to get that interaction. So what we did in the linebacker room is first we did some things where when we installed, they had to go in order and everybody had to call out every position. So that's what we mean when Coach Wood said cross-train. They had to know what everybody was doing and make the calls. So we could see who was more verbal than others and who was picking it up. They all picked it up by the end of it, which was impressive which was actually an advantage because sometimes when you're in the meeting room, the dominant personalities dominate in anything, not just in football, right? So we went one at a time, and I varied the order every day. Sometimes even the rookies were first, so that they all were put on the spot and we could hear everybody talk. And it was awesome because they started correcting themselves. And that's what you want. So that was one way we built interaction in our linebacker meetings. And then we progressed to being able to watch video and make calls out loud, put them all at different spots. We finished the last couple of weeks with some of those things where we're watching certain things like being able to tell the difference between run and pass and certain formations that people are attacking. I know this is a long answer, but this is what was fun about the offseason, was really getting to know the guys and see how quick they can see things and make calls and then be able to help them do it quicker. Now, because you're obviously not practicing, so you're trying to simulate everything you can to get better when you're not practicing. So we did that, and all of them stepped up, and that was cool to see.
Great. We're going to go to Scott Petrick. Scott?
Hey, Coach. I wanted to ask you again about Mack. When you watched his rookie film last year, what stood out to you as far as what he did well and what he might need to work on?
Well, number one, he improved with every rep that he had. And I don't remember the exact number. I'm sure it was over 900 snaps. So he's definitely not a rookie anymore. So he got better as the season went, for sure. He knows his body. He likes contact. He got better and better and better at taking people on as the season went on. And he does chase the ball, and he plays with energy. He's one of the guys that we saw when we watched the video that did have energy, and other guys rally around him. He also has good cover skills, and he's very ball aware. And there's only one ball on the field, and it's what we want to get and get it back to the offense. That's what we want to do on defense. And Mack's very ball aware, and that's something that he was in college that I liked about him, and he's continued to improve there. So some of the things we've been working on is we know he likes contact, we know he can cover. Now it's how to fit in this scheme and how to use that ability.
When you watch him on Instagram and those kind of things, he's real active. And he talks about it wanting to have a big year. Has he expressed that to you, and do you think he can have a big year too?
I think everything's a competition. I think he approached the offseason in the right way by coming to all the Zoom meetings and training and doing what was asked of him. But it's going to come down to the competition on the field. I love his energy, and we see all that too. We follow each other on social media, so that's a good thing. But he's been great in communicating with me, and it's awesome to have the individual goals. But I know he's oriented just like the rest of our defense, which it's going to be about us, and that's what the start of every linebacker meeting says. 2020 Cleveland Browns. It's about us. And identity, because your identity is what you look like when you play. So I'm very hopeful that he gets what he wants by showing off our identity, this fall whenever we get to play.
Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. We got 3 hands up. We'll take these last 3 individuals. We'll go to Marla, then Mary Kay, and Nate Ulrich. Marla, you're open.
Last summer, Mack, had a lot of interceptions, and then he kind of tailed off. But I was just wondering, is it maybe your top priority to get more game-changing plays from your group? I mean, I know Schobert had some, but obviously he's gone. It just seems to have been a weakness even in the past about game-changing plays.
Well, I think the more you do right, and the more you run to the ball as a defense, the more that you get all 11 around the ball, and this is something emphasized by Coach Woods and Coach Stefanski, is we're going to run. And how we play, that's what I mean on the identity. What does it look like when you watch us? Does it look like there's more of us out there than 11? Are we running? That's where big plays come from. That's the number one thing. And doing our job. The 1 out of 11, that's what we got to do. We got to do our job. The more you do your job and you're closer in coverage or closer and do your run fit exactly right, the better chance you have of you or somebody else making a big play. Most big plays come when you're just busting your tail and then there's the ball. And we're going to be very ball aware. So the big play ratio is going to come from that. Are we running? Are we doing things right? And the more that we do that and are ball aware, then that's where they're going to be developed. This system is awesome for that with Coach Woods. We're excited about it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Marla. Mary Kay, you're up.
Another quick question on Jacob. Do you have an ideal spot that you envision him playing at? I know you're cross-training everybody, but do you see him at a certain spot in your particular defense? And, you know, a guy coming out of LSU, those guys usually come out pretty ready to play some NFL football. So my question to you is, does he have a legit shot to come in here and grab one of those starting jobs?
I think right now, first of all, it is an open competition. All our guys have a chance. I mean, it's open. That's the good part about this room, and they know it. You know, BJ Goodson signed with us because he wanted a chance to compete, you know, and be able to do that. And you got Mack, Sione, and Jacob, and the other guys don't be mad at me, other guys, for not naming everybody at the moment, okay? But it's open, and that's what's exciting. So that's one. And then two is the guys that play. I don't want to get too much to positions or scheme or anything like that, just because we're still going to figure it out. We're building it. And the guy named the Mike linebacker just ends up in the middle of the field more than the others, where the other guys on the edges will play a little bit more in space and maybe pressure a little more. That's really the only difference. Jacob has the skill set for all of those. And that was what we wanted. We wanted football intelligence. We wanted length and speed. And that he has those. So what I mean by length is how well you're able to separate from blockers and things like that, which he's done. And he did that pretty well at LSU. Being only 21 and coming out early, he still has some things, and he's even gotten better at that in the offseason, that he can do on shedding blocks and making plays. But he was highly productive. Leading that team in tackles is a big deal. So he can really – his skill set really fits for any of the spots.
Okay, thanks. And one real quick follow-up here. Can you use it as motivation for these guys that people are kind of talk about your linebackers in terms of, you know what, there are no names. There's, you know, this linebacker core doesn't look like it's going to shape up to be very good. I get those questions all the time when people talk about the Cleveland Browns. Have you used it yet as some type of motivation, or will you?
Well, the biggest thing is what I just said to you guys is the start is it's about us. And it matters what we do. It doesn't matter as much what's said. And it all comes down to preparing ourselves so that when we get the attempt at making a big play or whatever it is, that we're in the right spot and we can do it. So it's about us. And then being ourselves. We, as coaches, we want them to be the best player and best person they can be. And that's that identity piece. And so we're really focused on that at the moment, because that's what we can control. The other stuff is the other stuff. So as we get to that, and hopefully we're continuing to improve and get better every single week, and our production is where it needs to be. That's where we're headed towards. So we're going to really control. And in this environment this year, there's a lot of stuff moving around. So we're expected things to change, and you know, because we don't even know when the start of training camp is yet. So we're going to control getting our bodies in shape and our minds right, and going from there.
Thanks a lot.
And we'll finish up with Nate Ulrich.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned BJ Goodson a few times, but what really went into signing him? Why did you guys want him? Why was he a target for you guys? And looking through his previous seasons, it looks like, most of the time his snap counts have been like, a third of the defensive snaps. I think one year he had close to half. Do you have more, I don't know if more in mind for him is the right way to phrase it, but could you see an expanded role from him? Or is he kind of going to be that guy who, he has been in terms of playing time in the way you envision it?
Well, we liked BJ's length, his ability to use his hands, and he is a run and tackle guy player who's shown the ability to do that. His number of snaps will be what he earns. He knows that, and we brought him here with that mentality, and he came here with that mentality, which has been great. Is I'm going to earn it, and I want the opportunity that there may be more playing time here. So I said a little while ago about the competition. That's what it's going to be all about. BJ has been competing his tail off and he's been being the same every day, which is a big compliment. In this business, it's hard to be the same every day. It really is, both on and off the field. So the more you're the same every day, the better chance you have to do for all the questions that were asked today. And BJ's done that. Being the same guy, attacking every day, being a pro is what we're all looking for. So that question is, however much he earns, he'll be able to play by knowing the system, by running, by getting off of blocks, by doing his job.